Koldewey was obsessed with the idea of excavating the whole of the legendary city. For 18 years, even during the First World War, he excavated the site almost without interruption. Today, his followers still work with shovels and spades. The excavations that began in Iraq 100 years ago have taken them on an archaeological journey back through time to the Empire of Babylon. In Sippar, a good 50 kilometers from Koldewey's excavations, the team have discovered a new archaeological sensation, a library from the period of Nebuchadnezzar. However, the archaeologists aren't looking for works of art or precious metals, but a far more valuable treasure, inscribed tablets. Cuneiform writing thousands of years old, recording the ideas and beliefs of Babylonians in Nebuchadnezzar's day. The archaeologists have been able to unearth over 300 clay tablets, valuable texts describing rites and customs, myths and politics. The library of Sippar is literally a treasure trove of knowledge. But first, the knowledge has to be decoded. Deciphering text like this is a race against time, as experts on cuneiform script, like Professor Sommerfeld at the Museum of Baghdad, watch the ancient clay tablets decay before their eyes. Though the clay tablets are far less susceptible to the ravages of time than parchment, as soon as they are unearthed, changes in temperature and humidity often cause the clay to crumble in a relatively short period of time. And then the accounts of life in Babylon turn to dust. The inscriptions provide detailed accounts of life in the Babylon Empire. Within the finds is a record of an event that plunged the people into fear and terror over 2,500 years ago, an eclipse of the moon. The clay tablets tell of the day when the moon disappeared and priests all over the city had to light fires. People quickly gathered in the streets and used their clothes to shield themselves from the sight as prayers and hymns filled the entire city. The soldiers of the king dipped their hands into dark clay and smeared it over their faces, covering them entirely. Only in this way could the moon, believed by the Babylonians to be a god called Sin, be appeased. Only then would the god be prepared to show his face to mankind once more. At this small museum in Iraq, Professor Walter Sommerfeld and his colleagues study the collection of clay tablets, which are full of sensational discoveries. The weathered inscriptions are true treasures of archaeological exploration as they shed light on the lost civilization of ancient Babylon.
These people, the Sumerians, Babylonians and Assyrians, were compulsive writers. They kept records of everything that could possibly be preserved in text, letters, accounts of everyday life, and also the entire body of scientific knowledge available at the time. Literature, mythology, astrology, everything we know about them has come down to us by means of clay tablets, and so far we've found about 1 million of them. We estimate that in the region around Iraq, there could be 100 million more buried in the ground, and only a small proportion of the texts we've found so far, about 25%, have been deciphered.
With so many clay tablets holding so much information, it's hardly surprising that archaeologists are eager to preserve the legacy of Nebuchadnezzar with the aid of the latest technology. The knowledge of the ancient Orient can now be preserved on glass plates forever. Using a method called holographic photography, a laser beam traces the inscription on the clay tablet. A system of mirrors allows the image to be reproduced on a photographic plate and fixed by using a special developing process. The holographic technology has been developed at the Institute of Physics at the University of Münster. The clay tablets appear on the photographic plate in 3 dimensions, so that experts can study the spatial characteristics of the cuneiform script, a vital factor when deciphering the text. The image resolution of the hologram is so detailed that even individual symbols within the text can be examined under the microscope without damaging the original in any way. And the hologram can also be made available over the internet, so decoding teams can work simultaneously all around the world. The tablets with cuneiform script tell age-old stories, and now the wisdom of ancient Babylon can be presented on computer screens today. Among them are the accounts of ancient sacrificial rituals that show how far everyday life in Babylon was dominated by strong religious beliefs. The record also proves that the stories of the godless pride shown by the people of Babel as related in the Bible were nothing but hostile propaganda. In the sacrificial ritual, everything was regulated down to the smallest detail. The type of oil the priest had to wash his hands with, and the exact position he had to adopt when he examined the claws and teeth of the animal to be slaughtered. The high priest had to place a chain made of red wool and colored stones around his neck when the moon rose. Only then could the body of the animal be slit open and the liver removed. The condition of the organ indicated whether good times or bad were in store for the empire and the king. They believed that their entire future depended on how the animal's liver was interpreted. It was a divine sign. Up to 100 years ago, Koldewey wrote that the ancient culture of Babylon was buried under a shroud of drifting sand. And even today, experts estimate that thousands of texts are still hidden beneath the ground in Babylon. Koldewey wrote, "The ruins remind me of the prophet's curse in the Bible, and never more shall Babylon be inhabited, and nobody shall live there again." Did the biblical curse really come true? And could Koldewey have guessed that 100 years later, new methods would be developed to shed light on the mystery of Babylon, including rockets? The Russian Soyuz carried a surveillance satellite into outer space. In the days of the Cold War, the technology was employed to spy out enemy territory using photographs from space. As the shuttle raced back to Earth, there were 150 satellite pictures on board. Among them was one of an area 32 degrees north and 44 degrees east, Iraqi territory.